It's hard going through the change, getting things in line, trying to rearrange.
Hey, all you home brewers out there. Happy Homebrew Wednesday or weekday. Cheers. And I'm drinking a very, very special beer at the moment, but I can't talk about it because I have other videos that I have to post first before I do. But I will tell you one thing, that it's an extremely special beer. Probably, I'd say, one of the better beers I've tasted in a long, long time. And it's a home brew. And I brewed it myself. But the recipe didn't come from me. It came from someone else. And you'll learn more about this in the next few days. That's all I'm going to say. But this beer is fantastic. I can't wait for you guys to see this footage and the official review of this wonderful beer. So stay tuned. Cheers, 17. Oh. Enough said. Okay. So the footage has already been shot, and I'm just going to put it all together, edit it, and whatnot. There'll be two videos, one of the making of the beer, and the other one will be the actual official tasting of the beer when I actually first tasted it. So stay tuned. All right. A few things planned for this week's video. I have a few questions that I want to answer from last week's Homebrew Wednesday. I think there's only 3 or 4 that I picked, only because I didn't have time to go through the rest. I read all the comments, but I just picked a few, and I'll get more next week from there. And you know what? It's a good way to create content. Let's put it this way. Been doing this Homebrew Wednesday thing for a few years now, and I will admit, there are times when it's hard to come up with stuff to talk about. I mean, every single week, it's like I don't brew that often, If you guys ask me questions down in the comment section, I'll be more than happy to answer as many of them as I can, either in the comments or live on this video. Well, not live, but you know what I mean. So I do have a few of them from last week that I will answer, and I'll go through them again and pick a few more out for next week's Homebrew Wednesday or Homebrew Weekday. I'm thinking of just changing the name to Homebrew Weekday. Homebrew Weekly. I know the original idea, and I have to give props to S.J. Poor. God, I don't know what I'm going to do if I never meet that guy. I got to meet this guy one day. S.J. Poor has to come to my dungeon one day. Or I'll go to his dungeon one day. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, though. I'm not much of a traveler myself, but he came up with the idea for Homebrew Wednesday years ago, and it has gone viral. So the only reason I wanted to change it to Homebrew Weekly is because I can't always do it on a Wednesday, as you can see. So, but the original idea is still always going to be credited to S.J. Poor. Doesn't matter what it's called. So I have those questions planned. I've got my iPad over there all set to go. And I also have a little bit of footage to show you about what I'm doing in my basement here. I'm going to be rearranging some stuff. We've lived in this house for 15 years. It's a small house. You might have seen last week where I showed you the basement, what it looks like when it's empty. So it's not very big. My family likes living in small space. We don't want big houses or big apartments or anything like that. We are kind of minimalists, if you will, if that's a word. Although that doesn't seem to apply when it comes to collecting stuff. My wife, yeah, hello, Winona, yeah, you, yeah, and me too. We're both pretty bad for when it comes to hoarding stuff, but we do live in a small house, and I've lived here for 15 years, and it's time for me to rearrange things just a little bit. So I don't know if you can see back there. I hope I'm not overexposed or anything. usually the way I've got my stuff set up, I've got my bench there going across, that way, and the brewing area is behind it. That was done because I wanted to be able to shoot videos from behind the bench and do it sort of television style, where I'm behind a bench and I'm doing things, Well, those days are kind of coming to an end. I don't plan on shooting any more videos like that. Of course I'm going to shoot more homebrew videos. I always will, until the day I die. But doing it that way, it's not a good way to use the space down here. And I realized that when I saw my neighbor's empty basement. And that's why I'm going to change things around. I'm going to put the bench along the wall, and this whole, I'll explain it. You guys will see let's just show the footage. Okay, so I'm shooting this with my phone because my camera died, so this is where my computer all is. It's not, it's cluttered. Yeah, there's stuff everywhere. Look at my printer's covered and stuff. But there, over here, there's a couch. Over here is my workbench. And right now, it's a disaster because I'm in the middle of just ripping stuff apart. So you can see that, you've never seen it like that before. Let's go over to the other side. And I'll show you a little bit of behind the bench because it's such a mess back there at the moment that I'm embarrassed. So just hang on a sec. Okay, here's what it looks like from the other side. And there's where we just were over there at the computer area over there. So anyway, pan around, there's my fridge. You'll notice in earlier videos that this part of it used to be white. But of course you know what happens to certain plastics after they get exposed to fluorescent lighting or sun. They turn gross and yellow. And just same old stuff. I've got stuff stored all over the place, but this is where my glasses are supposed to be, but I'm going to move these shelves down here. Let me just move these. Okay, this probably could use a wiping. Yeah, it's got sticky. This is just my brew bench. This is where I actually put the fermenters. I can fit 2 on there. Yes, there does get stuff spilt and whatnot. That's why, it has to be wiped down every once in a while. But got some rotting going on here. Yeah, it looks disgusting. Basically, I just built this out of an old bathroom vanity and a couple pieces of, I guess this used to be drawer fronts or something, or wood of some sort. I just screwed them on, and that's where I do my brewing. But yeah, as you can see, it's taken its toll. Time has taken its toll. I've been brewing down in this basement for 15 years. So there's bound to be some skeletons and a few closets around here. But yeah, all that stuff here, this is just all spare parts for kegs and some heat belts and whatnot. There's a fan in there somewhere that I use to cool a wort. You wrap it in a wet t-shirt, blow some air on it, and it can cool the wort. So that's where I'm at, and this is going to take a long time. So my main concern before I do any of this, because this bench here is going to be on this wall here next. Okay, so I have to tear this whole place apart, and that way I can open this up and have us walk straight through here and have this all one narrow place instead of go all the way around the laundry area, because there's a lot of times there's laundry back there and you got to step on everything. So my main concern before I do anything is to turn this around this way, because that's how it's going to be, and then get some beer brewing onto it. And after we get that done, that's okay, and then we can move on and start tearing the rest of the place apart. If I don't get the beer brewing soon, I'm going to not have any homebrew. So priorities, let's get that figured out first. I'm probably going to have to clean behind it too. I don't know what the heck's back there, who knows. And get that turned around, and then get some beer on, and then we can go ahead and tackle the rest of this. It's going to be a lot of work, but I'll kind of keep you updated as to how she goes. All right? And then maybe we'll finally actually get that hung up permanently. All right, I got that set up, cleaned up all the cupboards. It's an old cupboard. It's never going to come totally clean, and these pieces of wood are all, they've got marks on them and gouges and little bits of mold and things. This is not a problem. This is a brew bench, not a freaking dining room table. So That's more like it. So there's going to be a lot of rearranging, but this little area that I'm in right now is going to stay the same. So I'm never going to change this. My records, my turntable, my computer, all this stuff's all going to stay the same because I like it. But that area back there is getting ripped apart and torn down and rebuilt down with new carpet, and made it so that this whole area here is going to be one area. Anyways, you already know that. I already told you that back there. So yeah, those two beers that you saw back there, I did the old pitching the yeast the next day trick because they were too warm. It's blistering hot out right now here in Ontario, Canada. It's 32 degrees Celsius. It's about 94 degrees Fahrenheit here in my neck of the woods. And it's hot. My wife, she's like baking apple pies out in the front grass. I mean, it's just, it's blistering hot out. Oh, I want to give a shout out to BIY Homebrew Supply. There's another hint. That's all I'm going to say for now. I can't keep a secret. Damn it. All right. More coming up. Stay tuned. All right. Let's get to these questions here. If I can remember where I've got them. This person is asking me about brewing with hop pellets. He says the beer was very gritty due to the remnants of the hop pellets that stayed in suspension. And the beer still has, it's all still floating around. I've actually never experienced that. Usually when I brew with dry hop pellets, or hop pellets, not dry hopping, but just the dry hop pellets, they usually fall out pretty quickly. And when the beer's finished and you chill it down and whatnot. But if you're having a problem with your beer having particulates like that in it, then I would recommend you get some Whirlfloc tablets if you can find them. Irish moss is the same sort of thing. And when you're making the beer, just I don't know if you're boiling. I think he's doing a kit beer. I think these are beer kits he's doing. Boil it in some water and then just add it to your brew before you pitch the yeast. And that should help things clear out once everything's done. So here's another idea. This is one occasion where you might want to do a secondary fermentation. In other words, after about a week of fermentation, siphon the beer into a carboy. What that will do is it will help to degas the beer. When the beer's fermenting, CO2 is produced, and most of it comes out through the airlock, but some of it stays in the beer. And that can stop the beer from clearing because the particulates will stick to the bubbles or whatever, and they'll just stay there. So if you siphon the beer into a secondary, like a carboy, and let that sit for a few days, it might actually help to settle the beer and get rid of some of the carbonation and help to settle the hop particulates down into the bottom. That's another idea you can try, okay? That's one occasion where a secondary might help. There might be something about your fermenter that's trapping CO2 more than usual, and so the beer won't. So that it's all sitting on the CO2, tiny little CO2 bubbles that are in the beer. All beer and wine after it's fermented has trapped CO2 in it. That's why when you make wine, you have to degas the wine, otherwise it won't clear. Right? So it's the same with beer. Do a secondary, leave it for give it a, don't stir it, but just siphon it in calmly, fill it from the bottom, don't splash it around, and that will help to hopefully off-gas the beer a bit, and maybe you'll have clearer beer, okay? Because, I mean, I'm not a big fan of clear beer anyways. I don't care if it's clear, but when you got a gritty taste with hops floating around, that's not good. So try either of those two things, or both. See how that works out for you, okay? Next question is, he's got a fairly constant temperature in the house because he's got air conditioning. He's concerned about where to brew the beer to get the most consistent temperature. Listen, unless you're going to build a fermentation room or a chamber that has exactly the same temperature all the time, there's really not much you can do about it. I'm pretty sure the temperature down here in my basement fluctuates somewhat between, I'd say between, in the summer it goes between about 70 and 74. In the winter it goes between 64 and 70, depending on how I run my furnace. Because like, unless you're going to brew, like I said, unless you're going to make a specific space that's temperature controlled, then which people do, and that's one of the things that people actually spend a lot of time and effort, is making a space that's temperature controlled. If you're not going to do that, then don't worry about it. Just brew your beer. It'll be fine. This beer here was brewed down here. I don't know. Probably some fluctuations went on. And it's fine. It's fine. Not to worry. Just brew the beer. It's not, people emphasize, a lot of people, I find that, some people just, go too far with things. I have no problem, with people have temperature controlled chambers and rooms and whatnot. I've even seen people have like a separate room in their house with an air conditioner in it and a heater, and they keep that room a certain temperature to brew the beer.
Are we going?
Yes, we're going in about half an hour. Thanks. Just doing a video quick. But if you just have a house with air conditioning, whatever, just find a quiet place and just brew your beer. Don't worry about it, okay? As long as it's not going all over the place all the time, you're fine. All right, let's see. Next question. Let's see. Oh, he wants to make a lighter beer. In other words, he wants to make beer that tastes good but has less alcohol. Just brew the beer the way it's supposed to be brewed, but don't add any extra fermentable like sugars or anything like that. Add some unfermentable stuff like crystal malt, specialty grains, chocolate malt, crystal malt, malt that's been roasted grains that have no fermentability or very little fermentability. Those will add flavor to your beer. And so you can limit the amount of fermentability that your beer has by only using a small amount of liquid malt or, two rogue or whatever you're using to actually do the fermentation, and then using the specialty grains to add flavor to the beer. You can get like a 3% alcohol beer with let's just say a can of Cooper's. Let's say a can of Cooper's English bitter or Canadian blonde or whatever style you want to do. And to that, you would just take some specialty grains, like I said, crystal or some roasted malts, and just steep them in a pot of water with 160 degree Fahrenheit. Steep them for half an hour. I would say about a couple of pounds maybe of specialty grains, maybe, and just steep them. And that's flavor going into your beer. Last week I showed you this Led Zeppelin record, and I was afraid to show the cover, but I'm not afraid anymore because whatever. It's just, it is what it is. Excellent record, by the way. I listened to it the other day, and beautiful, right? Led Zeppelin, House is the Holy. He's asking me, well, I'll just read it to you. It's not that long. Led Zeppelin or Rush? He's asking me. Led Zeppelin or Rush? First of all. Well, both. Okay? No, don't choose. Both. Which album and why, whichever beer goes with them. I'm Led Zeppelin in throughout the outdoor with a nice porter, kind of funny. Okay, part of it's cut off because I didn't take a picture properly. Basically, what he's asking is, Led Zeppelin, great band. We all know that. Rush, great band. We all know that. Two different kind of musical genres, if you will. Both rock, but sort of different. And what beers would go with each one? Well, this is an interesting question. We're talking, instead of food pairing, we're talking music pairing. Okay, I'll give you my opinion on this. I would say Led Zeppelin, In Through the Outdoors, is a great record, although I haven't listened to it recently. I should visit that one. Houses of the Holy, or Led Zeppelin 1, 2, 3, whichever one you want. Led Zeppelin, I would say you need a dark beer, like a porter or a stout. Nice, meal in a glass, if you will, beer with Led Zeppelin, something really dark and deep and nice, and just sit there and drink that and listen to Led Zeppelin. That's what I think. Now, when it comes to Rush, I would say get yourself an IPA, something with a lot of alcohol. And because you're going to need that in order to understand what they're doing. I would say with Rush, you want something a little lighter colored, a little lighter in the flavor, but lots of hops, okay? And a fair amount of alcohol. Put on Rush Hemispheres. Hemispheres. Let's get Hemisphere. Where is it? Boom. Got it right here. Hemispheres. Rush on vinyl. Hemispheres. If you got the CD, that's okay too. Okay? You set this up. Get yourself some time where nobody's going to bug you. You put that on, and you get yourself a nice IPA. You won't be disappointed. How's that sound? Good? Led Zeppelin, dark beer, Rush, IPA. Let's see. What would go good with a lighter colored beer, so like a Pilsner or something like that? How about some bread? I mean, literally, bread. I mean, where are we here? Where is it? Here it is. I got it. How about this record? Get yourself a nice, light colored Pilsner or lager and listen to Bread's greatest hits. There you go. That's my suggestion for music pairing. If you have any other questions regarding that, I'm not a big food pairing person myself. I drink whatever with whatever I eat. I don't give a shit, wine, beer, whatever. But when it comes to music, hey, I'm up. Give me your suggestions. What you think would go good with the music that you listen to, and I certainly would be more than happy to give you my opinion on that subject as well. Okay, so I think I've run out of time. And I do have to go out and do some stuff today. I apologize for this video being a bit late, but this is what's happening. That's what's happening. Lots of things are happening. I got to build a computer for my son today. Got to get that working. The good news is, that is good news. I like building computers, but that I've got some absolutely amazing beer to accompany that with. I think a good pairing is building a computer and drinking this beer. Stay tuned. Cheers, guys. Be safe. I'll see you Friday night on my live broadcast. tgtshirts.com. Thank you so much, guys, for buying the shirts. Oh my goodness, I can't believe the support is amazing. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for that. Okay? And please send me your pictures. Put your shirt on. Get someone to take a picture of you. Send it craigtubemail@gmail.com. Send me your pictures. I'll put them on the video next week. Okay? Of pictures of you wearing the shirts. I don't have one on right now. In fact, this thing's probably pretty dirty because I've been working back there. This is one of my work shirts. But send me the pictures of you wearing your shirts. I'll certainly put them on the video here next week or next week's, if you will. And that's it. Be safe. I'll see you soon. Thanks, guys, for watching. Enjoy. I know I will. 17.